Good evening, everyone. The debate between the pro team Masci from Abruzzo and Martinetti from Piemonte is going to happen now. The motion is this house would require all foods already on the market to undergo the European safety assessment currently mandated for novel foods. I am inviting the debaters to declare their roles in this debate. Who will be the first speaker for the pro team?
Good evening. It will be Giulia Cedola.
Giulia, can you repeat, Giulia?
Giulia Cedola.
Cedola, thank you. The second speaker.
Gaia Legnini.
Gaia Legnini. Good. Who will give the reply speech of you?
Giulia Cedola.
Okay, so. And the third speaker will be?
Stefano Di Fabio.
Stefano Di Fabio. Good. Well, now the opposition.
Yeah,
Please
good evening. First speaker for the opposition, Alessandro Ferraro.
Alessandro Ferraro.
Thank you.
Alessandro, you have to speak closer to the microphone when you give your speech, okay? So, the second...
Non è chiara la dizione, però, è vero? Non è chiara la dizione. Dovete lavorare meglio col microfono.
Now it's clear.
Clearer, but not that much. So, please, let's adjust the...
Just 2 seconds, we will adjust the microphone.
Well, Alessandro Ferraro, that's it. Second speaker, please.
That'll be me, Theodor Pop. I'm the second speaker and the one who does the replica.
Okay. Theodor Pop. Good, and reply. The third speaker will be...
Come si chiama? Diego? Diego Justo from... They're trying to set up the microphones and stuff, so y'all can hear them.
So he's setting up. Oh, yeah. Diego Justo. Oh, that's it. Okay. That's it. Now I invite the judges to introduce themselves. Please.
I'll start.
Good evening.
Okay. Sorry. You can go.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rosangela Gamba, and I wish you all the best for this debate.
Good evening. I'm Letizia Bellello. I'm going to be one of the judges for this debate. Good luck, everyone.
So, and I'm the responsabile di sala. I'm declaring my name there. So I'm Carla Langella. Let's have a very good debate then. So, let me check the time.
Sorry.
Please, yes.
Yes. Is the microphone better now?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Much better, much better. That's it. How many are you from Martinetti? So, Diego. Theodora is, Alessandro's there? Okay, that's it. Now, please, Diego, do you have to ask a question? Okay, no. Well, please, before starting your speech, declare when. There is something like a formula, 3 to 1 to my speech. So then I invite the first speaker of the proposition team to take the floor, please.
My speech will start in 3, 2, 1, now. Good evening, everyone, honorable judges, fellow debaters, and spectators here. Today we are here to affirm the motion that all foods already on the market should undergo the European safety assessment, currently mandated only for novel foods. Now, our case rests on 3 pillars. So, public health and scientific coherence, fairness and market integrity, and then a long-term economic advantage. As the first speaker of the pro team, I'm going to develop the first 2 points, while our second speaker, Gaia Legnini, is going to explain the economic advantage in long term of the introduction of new rules to change the present situation. Now, first of all, before I begin my speech, let me explain what a novel food is and what is the European safety assessment. Now, a novel food is a food that hasn't been widely consumed before May 15th, 1997. We have 3 categories of novel foods that are foods from newly developed processes, foods from new sources, foods that use new technologies for production. Now, European safety assessment, what is it? The European safety assessment is a strict pre-market authorization process overseen by the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA. This process involves application, scientific review, risk management, and authorization. Now, this system is mandatory only for novel foods. And then what's the problem? The problem is that the scientific community has many times underlined the cause-effect relationship between food and an increased rate of some serious, if not mortal, disease. Nutrition is a key factor for life expectancy and well-being. And we must not underestimate the impact of food on our organisms, on our health, and therefore on society. Now, let's start talking about my first argument, safety. Now, the duty of our food safety system is to ensure that what we eat today is safe. So we cannot consider food safe just because it was considered acceptable years ago, decades ago. Science is evolving. And we must keep up with times. Methods for detecting contaminants, assessing allergenicity, and characterizing vulnerable people have advanced. There are many legacy products that haven't been evaluated under today's standards. And there is a very huge class of foods on our shelves that are there not because a safety system affirms their safety, but just because historical practice have allowed it. There are, in fact, several traditional foods that have proven to be harmful or risky. For example, bitter almonds, they contain amygdalin, which releases cyanide. Then green potatoes, they were a staple food in Europe, in all Europe, but they contain solanine, that is a natural toxin. And then some types of mushrooms that were traditionally considered edible, but they are actually toxic. When people shop, when consumers shop, they just assume safety. Therefore, we must find a system that lives up to that assumption. The one of today is a grandfather clause that, according to this one, if a food was on the market before 1997, it is safe by default. But this doesn't make sense. This is just a false security. Now we understand more than we did last year, than we did decades and decades ago. I mentioned the philosophical expression, veritas filia temporis. Therefore, truth is the child of time, and science is developing during years. Okay, let's move on my second argument, fairness. Now, there are two kind of producers. Producers of novel foods and producers of foods that were on the market before 1997. There is a very big disparity that distorts competition. In fact, producers of novel foods must face substantial compliance burdens, and also sometimes post-marketing monitoring. And if we accept these new rules, there will be fairness also for consumers, because there will be a clearer communication, a better communication, since consumers can understand and compare food easily. Having rules that are the same for everyone will make it much easier to track food and help us respond much faster when a problem occurs. Instead of having old, messy, and different rules for every single product, we must find and state a clear set of information. Because, as I said, there is a very big problem that must be solved. We find also other examples of foods that were traditionally used but have proven now to be dangerous, so they are not on the market anymore. Think about a red colorant used in candies and on snacks. It has been abolished, it has been banned in the market starting between 2025 and 2027 because it is linked to cancer. We also have trans fats that were also used a lot in the past, but now they have been gradually eliminated because they are dangerous, they are risky. And they can also bring cardiovascular diseases. Then, before the dangerous consequences were identified, palm oil was also widely used during decades ago, especially between in 1980s and the 20s. But its high saturated fat content is very, very, very harmful. During refining, there is the formation also of contaminants that are so harmful. And then, for all this reason, I beg you to vote for us, since there is a very big problem, a very big issue that must be tackled. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you for your speech. It lasted 7 minutes, 38 seconds. So I then invite the first speaker of the opposition team, Alessandro, to take the floor.
Yes, just ready in a moment.
Well, we cannot hear you very well.
Really?
No. Quite impossible.
Aspetta, disconnettiamo le cuffie.
We can hear your friend very well, but not you.
Togli, Now? Better?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, hello everyone, dear judges, honorable judges, respected opponents. I'm the first speaker for the opposition team, and today we are going to analyze the following motion. This house would require all foods that are already present on the market to undergo all the European safety assessments that are actually currently moderating and mandated for novel foods. The term novel foods it refers to all the foods that were introduced in Europe from May 15, 1997. Under this policy, products that have been consumed safely for years or actually decades would be treated as if they were newly introduced and scientifically untested, forcing them to actually undergo a full European Food Safety Authority for reach their authorization, as the motion states. This will force them to actually apply all these assessments that are actually normally reserved for all the foods, as I said before, introduced after 1997, precisely because they lack historical data. Therefore, the principal topic of the question of this debate is not whether the food safety or the food health, if it matters or not. We all agree it does. It's a state, but rather if it is actually legitimate and effective to retroactively apply these maximum precautions also to products that actually have already established safety records, as also lots of local laws that were implemented before the 1997 regulation that simply states that all these foods are safe for consumption, even if they are non-novel foods. So after saying all this, I'm going to underline and to lay down all the main points of the strategy. And so first of all, yeah, sorry, yeah. I will answer the PI later. Thank you for the PI. I will dip into the first topic, the first argument, that is certifying a single product can take an extremely long time and sometimes also decades, sparing decades. And during this period, only large companies have actually the financial resources to survive without selling the product. And this is the second point, because this means that big corporations will actually dominate the market, will monopolize the market, and while the small and medium-sized producers will be forced to withdraw. The consequences is not only economic, but also cultural. And this is the third point, because all the traditional foods will disappear, reducing also the food diversity and decreasing also the cultural heritage of not only a territory, but of an entire nations. We will, for the fourth topic, I will also talk about the assessment process that is actually overly centralized in a single authority. So we are going into the direction of over bureaucracy that is handled actually by a very small group of experts. And this creates severe, we could call it bottlenecks, that will slow down all the approvals and will limit the system capacity to actually handle all these large number of products, because actually non-novel foods are the majority of products in the market. All these topics will be actually more deeply specified by my fellows speakers. And so now I would like to implement also a very quick example, that is the steady example that my third speaker will talk furthermore about it later. And this example actually states that shows that if the law is made actually retroactive, this will cause a EFSA requiring it to reassess thousands and thousands of already existing products of the market using a process that is actually never been designed for the scale for all this large amount of products. And this would bring to, this would actually create a massive backlogs, will further slow down approvals, as I said before, and will leave all the products into a legal limbo, we could call it, for lots of years. And during this time, producers often cannot sell their products, meaning that delays are not simply neutral, but they are economical fatal. So now I will let the time for the PI. So if you would like to. No PI?
Just
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
What do you think about the fact that the 90% of foods that have been withdrawn from the market are traditional foods?
Well, actually, this is the point, because what we were saying before is that actually all these traditional foods, as for example in Italy, are tested. We are actually a living lab. They are tested by thousands and thousands of people through the time, and I think that simply the fact that okay, it's 90% of people doesn't have the certain maybe simply the certain experiment behind all these facts. They doesn't have the security, but the security are themselves. They have tested all these products for thousands and thousands of years, and we are still eating them. So I think that the 90% is not actually so precise, because then it wouldn't simply apply to the reality nowadays. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your speech. It lasted 8 minutes, 10 seconds. Well, now I invite the second speaker of the proposition team to take the floor and give your speech. Gaia, yes.
Okay, so my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. So, good evening, everyone, honorable judges and respectable opponents. I'm the second speaker of the proposition team. And I will start my speech by rebutting what the first speaker of the opposition team said before. So, you claim that because we have eaten these foods for generations, they're proven to be safe. But this is a dangerous assumption. History is not a substitute for science, and this is important. The world has changed. Modern farming uses different chemicals, industrial processing is more complex, and we now face new threats like microplastic and forever chemicals that simply didn't exist 50 years ago. Many products currently on the market were approved using outdated standards that don't account for long-term health risks, such as hormonal imbalances. My first speaker gave you some examples before, like raffinated flours, mushrooms, and many other things. So you can just say that traditional is equal safety. That traditional safety, it's not correct. You cannot say that. Also, we wanted to say that we are completely aware that this is a massive job. Thousands of products, complex supply chains, and not enough labs. The solutions we think has to be used is to do this step by step, focusing on where the risk is highest. We should prioritize, support, and be smart. By checking the foods first that have the most potential danger or that people eat the most. Foods known to have contaminants, foods that are processed a lot, or foods that children eat often. Also, we will give businesses time to adjust, offer help and advice to small and medium companies, and adjust the data rules for them. Also, if a food authority already has a good safety data on a certain ingredient, like an additive, we won't repeat the work. So we will use that information and only focus on a missing pieces, so it wouldn't be that slow a process. Also, about the economical aspect, the first speaker argued that the protocol's cost would be prohibitive for small businesses, but causing economic damage. However, we firmly believe the opposite. By strictly monitoring all food, especially traditional food, and raising awareness, we can significantly decrease the rate of food-related illnesses, since medical treatments are far more expensive than prevention. This policy would actually strengthen the economy in the long run, and this is important because we're talking about long-term consequences. By reducing the burden on the public healthcare system. Therefore, the economic argument doesn't hold water when you consider the massive savings in healthcare, which I say, again, are long-term consequences. Also, you talked about the traditional heritage, but we wanted to say that we also value traditional and regional foods. A modern safety check doesn't have to erase our culinary history. We can protect these heritage foods by making the evidence requirements fit the risk of the product and by using their long history of safe consumption as part of the safety file. Programs like fee reductions and shared testing groups can make sure that small local producers are supported and aren't left behind. So having said so, I will move on to our third and last argument, which is protecting our economy and society for the long term, which also refers to what I said before. Because critics say that checking old foods again is too expensive and too complicated, but we argue that failing to find preventable risks is actually more costly, once again. Think about food crises when products are recalled, when people get sick from outbreaks, or when companies suddenly lose trust. These problems can cause huge financial and social damage. A modern thorough check helps us find problems early, things like harmful chemicals moving from packaging into food, unexpected contaminants or changes in raw materials because of climate change. Taking action now saves both money and lives. Also, collecting consistent safety information allows the government to make smarter decisions. If we have good data about what people eat, we can make targeted changes, like asking companies to reduce added sugars, giving specific advice to groups who are easily affected, like children, or checking suppliers more carefully when it matters most. Because we have to say that these stakeholders are producers, consumers, children, healthcare system, and this is important. So these strategies improve public health in ways that far outweigh the cost of checking the food. Plus, this move strengthens the EU's reputation for food safety, which helps with trade and builds strong trust with shoppers at home. So, having said all these things, this motion brings science in line with reality. Shoppers deserve the same promise of safety for every food they buy. A consistent safety check brings fairness to the market, strength to our food system, and better health for everyone. By checking risk first, helping small businesses, and using existing data wisely. This policy is not just based on good principle, it is entirely practical. For all these reasons, we strongly urge you to vote for the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. It lasted 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
Okay, it's my turn now. I will begin in 3.
No, just a minute. Please.
I'm sorry. Take your time.
No, don't be sorry, but we need it after all. Okay. Judges, please tell me when you're okay. So you can start the other.
Okay, I'm gonna start.
You officially.
I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Welcome. Hello, dear judges. Hello, fellow teammates and pro team. My main focus for the things I have to say is about tradition, and when I listened to what the second speaker said, I couldn't help but notice an important thing. They talked about how this law should be put on all the foods for safety, but we also have to think that this is not the only law that imposes controlling of the type of food and the ingredients used in what we eat every day. They were already there, local laws that supervised the production of food. And like my first speaker said, doing this whole thing again of rechecking everything, even to meet the standards, it's something that in some ways might be helpful, like for example when they talked about the food coloring and the toxicity of some foods like mushroom, for example. But when we talk about local food, and for example we can take some cheeses we have in Italy, for example Casumarzu, which is a cheese with worms inside. It has been eaten for decades. There are almost no repercussion of eating it, and especially since we talked about marketing and local shops and small businesses, these type of activities would die because they wouldn't have all the money to support the research, and they wouldn't have the funds to do this. So all the local activities would soon have to die, to close. And with that in mind, there would be only the multinationals who would produce food. Another important thing another example we can put, for example, it's like talking about tomatoes. I mean, when they was first discovered, everyone thought they were toxic, while instead what was toxic was the metal trays they used to serve them because there was lead in it. And you may ask why I'm saying this, but it's really important to understand that even though some food are toxic, and it's good to check, because what we're saying is not that we don't want safety. We don't need excessive of a bureaucracy, excessive things, because, for example, like you said, there are a lot of pesticides. The way the food is grown, if we're talking about vegetable, for example, the type of terrain we're using, the type of pesticides, that also contributes to the possible toxicity of the food itself. Another thing we have to think about if we talk about health is the fact that over the years, many people developed allergies because of pollution, because of pesticides, and for that as well, we have to think more about other things than over checking the foods for safety, because even though some foods might be bad and others are good for us because we know it, we always eat in it, we also have to worry about other things. We have to put this type of effort, the same one we have in food, on other things. Yes? I think you had a POI? Oh, no. Okay, good. Going on, we're talking about going back to tradition. Tradition in Italy is really important. Like I said, there are cheeses, but other types of food which are traditional and non-toxic. I get why you might say some foods are, for example, this type of cheese I mentioned, Kasumatsu, it's not legal to sell it, but it's legal to produce and to eat. Yes, this is a POI, I think.
Sorry, so are you assuming that traditional is equal to safety? Because
I'm not assuming that. I'm not assuming that. Let me specify it for you. The thing I'm saying is traditional is not always bad, not always toxic. I'm not saying that all traditional foods are 100% safe. Like I was saying, for Kazumatsu, it's illegal to sell because it doesn't meet the standards. After all, we're talking about worms, but it's not illegal to make and for people to try it, because they live for this experience. They want to do something and they think, let's do this experience. They know the risks, and the risks are really low, and that's why it's illegal. Otherwise, it's obvious that if it was highly toxic, it wouldn't be legal. It would be like obvious. Another thing I wanted to say, yeah. Is this another POI? Okay, yeah.
Yes. So don't you think that the rise in food allergies isn't the fact and evidence that the local laws are not enough?
Well, first of all, we have to think about allergies. Allergies aren't there because of the local laws. I mean, it's not like the local law isn't enough, so there's allergies. Why are there allergies? If we don't talk about the fact that you're born with it, many allergies are born not from the poor laws, but from the fact that there is pollution, that we use too many pesticides, and that's why we should focus more on reducing the use of pesticides and reduce the pollution to decrease the risk of getting allergies. That's what I'm saying. I think, well, I hope I answered your question. Going on again, you talk, for example, about mushrooms, and it's normal to think that sometimes some type of mushrooms are toxic, and it's good the fact that we're checking them. That's a thing. But over checking, and I don't mean with toxic food, but over checking the morals, we can also say, about traditional food. And we also have to think that people know the risks of eating, for example, this type of cheese. So it's more than normal. Yes. Is it another POI? Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Okay, so don't you know that the production process for traditional food has changed? Like, don't you think that we should prioritize health over culture? The safety is way more important.
Well, I know traditional foods, the process of making traditional food has changed. Because even though it's traditional, because it's a cultural thing, the production itself of traditional food has changed. It's not like if we make this type of cheese, we make it in our kitchens without any safety and without and with raw materials. Even though the production, I mean, that's because because of the changing in the type of production of traditional food, we have more safety. It's not like safe food is made at home now. We have labs to make it, so that's why it is more safe. So we shouldn't worry about that. I think that's the end of my speech. I went over my time to answer, and yeah.
Yes, thank you for your speech. It lasted 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Yes, I think we can give the field to the third speaker of the proposition team. Stefano, please start when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone, fellow debaters, estimated judges, and all the audience. First of all, as the third speaker of the proposition team, I like to rebuttal what the second speaker just said. And I listened to the speech of the second speaker, and I heard that people are born with allergies. But that's not true, because allergies are developed during the years. And a possible cause will be the low quality of the food. And that's why we should make control to prevent these allergies to increase again and again as it happened today. And also, another thing is that the opposition appealed to tradition, but of course, tradition is unavailable, but safety is more important than tradition. In fact, safety is not negotiable. It's far more important than everything else. And even if we take time, we should absolutely do whatever it takes to guarantee a safe world for all the citizens. And another thing is that the safe food isn't safe if it's eaten over in years, because a lot of products, as my teammates just said, are detected toxic or were withdrawn from the market over in years of eating them, even if they seem safe, but they are not, because now modern science is developing. There are modern standards that are more strict than the precedent standards where these kind of foods were evaluated. In fact, we know that there are old standards that evaluated these foods, the traditional foods. Nowadays, as we change, also the science is developing. So we need absolutely to make this world safer and to keep up with the progress. That's a fundamental part, because it's like to go in a city with a map of 10 years ago, 20 years ago. of course, is impossible to do that, as it regards the safety, so the health of everybody. And another thing is that so a lot of products were withdrawn, as the bitter almonds, the green potatoes, and all this kind of stuff. So the palm oil, because it's not because a traditional food is eaten by over and years, it means is good, is safe. Yes, PIE? I can hear you, sorry.
Second, so can you hear me now? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. So in the light of what you're saying, so we know that actually humans in their life can develop every type of allergies for different kind of foods. So you're saying that we should abolish every kind of food that is in the market currently?
No, I'm not saying that, of course. I'm saying that many studies, for example, from the European University of Berlin, I read that allergies are connected, are linked with the lower quality of food. So as we control more and more the food, we can stop developing and the rising of allergies. So I'm not saying that if is that every food causes allergies, then the food is to be withdrawn back and banned. But I said that in order to reduce the amount of allergy, we should control more and more this kind of food. I hope I answer your question. Thank you. And of course, let me finish and then I will answer this question. We need to focus also on the stakeholders, because nowadays the stakeholders are children, and in the first place, so they are like they are very sensible to the health. So in order to prevent them a safer health, a safer future, we should control this food. And then I will answer the question. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. About what you said about allergies. Are you saying that allergies are not something that also has to do with genetics and mutation?
No, I'm saying that, of course, there are some from genetics, but there are also a lot of nowadays that are developing nowadays. In fact, the amount of allergies is increasing nowadays, and that's why we should take some decision to stop this. I'm saying also that they are developed not only from genetics, but also developed during the years during eating this low quality food, and so that is important. So first of all, we once again we should prioritize the safety of our citizens, not the traditional heritage. That of course it's important, but not as the safety of our citizens. And another thing that I would like to add is that do you know about the leaky gut syndrome? And a leaky gut syndrome is an hypotactical condition, and it's based on the concept that of relative intestinal permeability, and that's to do with the food, with the low quality food. So in order also to prevent this kind of syndrome, we should take care of what we are eating, because our safety, our health matter. The most important thing is the safety, not the financial issues of these policies, but the health That's the central point, and we should substitute this kind of old policies, old controls that now are obsolete. So thank you. I will rest my case, and I hope you to vote us. You will vote us.
Thank you for your speech, Stefano. It lasted 8 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay. Now we'll listen to Diego when you're ready, please.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So I would like to start by making an example that my teammate, that speaker one, already mentioned about earlier. Stevia. This is a very popular plant used to make sugar, mostly used in South America. Now, in 1997, when the laws for novel foods came to pass, the process for stevia approval began immediately. And this is where I go back and talk about the fact that you say that it takes little time and little money to get approval for foods. That's actually not true, because, for example, for stevia, it took 14 years. And also, regarding the price to get approval for a single food, it is estimated that it takes between 200,000 euros and a million. Let's break that down. It takes just 20,000 euros to send the application to the EU, between 120,000 and 800,000 on the scientific analysis, depending on, of course, the type of product we're talking about. And then a final 100,000 euros to get the final approval from the EU. This is a crazy amount of money. And also, imagine you scale this, because we all know that there are a lot more non-novel foods than novel foods. So scale this amount of time and money a lot. This would take an insane amount of time and an insane amount of money to complete. So it's something, applying the system for application regarding novel foods for non-novel foods simply isn't an option. And this would be a problem that I will analyze better. Is there a POI?
Yes. So don't you think that exactly because of the fact that traditional food are more and more than novel foods, we should control them better, because that's what people eat the most?
Yes, but my point isn't about that they should be controlled more. What I'm saying is that if this came to pass, if these laws about novel foods were applied to non-novel foods, it would take an exorbitant amount of time and money to get the approvals for all this. And also, I think that speaker 2 earlier mentioned that it's better to approve all of the non-novel foods rather than spending a lot of money money in general on medical bills, because you say that just because we have free healthcare here in the EU, it's okay, but actually it's not okay, because even though you are not paying those medical bills, someone is, and that someone is a state. That's less money that can go to other services that the states provide. And that would cause a financial issue. But going back to what I was saying earlier, this would cause financial issues on many other fronts. Let's get to it. So, for example, the EU, to get all of these foods approved, would most probably ask a single company to go through and analyze all of these at once, as quick as possible. This would create an enormous monopoly for that one company. And also, it would create a monopoly also on another front. Most of the products that need to be reapproved are traditional foods, meaning that they would have to cease their production until they get the approval. And this would imply the fact that bigger, already developed companies that already have approvals would most likely completely dominate the food market. And by the time that these traditional foods do get their approval, it would most likely be too late. People have probably moved on from these foods, creating a complete imbalance in the market, creating an enormous loss of jobs, as well as a enormous financial crisis, monopoly, and a problem for the EU itself, as they would also have to personally cooperate with with a company or multiple, depending on what they are willing to do, to go through all of these foods. So it's just not a viable option. So we can't just apply a system that designed for novel foods to foods that have been in circulation for many, many, many years, decades, hundreds of years. Like, I don't think that people have a problem, I don't know, with bread. It's one of the most basic foods, everyone knows about it. Do we really, it existed for forever, basically. Do we really need to reapprove that? This is to say that the model that we use to assess novel foods just isn't suitable for non-novel foods. It's unnecessary. I understand why the EU created these laws for novel foods, because we know nothing about them, they have no back history, and there's a high risk if they maybe contain dangerous chemicals or something, and it would cause a massive problem. However, for non-novel foods that have been consumed for a long, long time, there's no need. The data and the experience regarding the use of these products has been here for forever. Why should we not rely on a huge amount of data that has been collected already? Why do we need to reassess everything? It just makes no sense. Is there a POI?
Yes. So don't you think that this data are obsolete because the science is evolving? So we should control nowadays and not based on the past standards. Thank you.
Well, it's true that testing methods for new foods have evolved, but the best way of testing something is testing it yourself. We have been testing those things, these traditional foods or many types of food on ourselves for years. We've been eating them for years. And in my opinion, unless we as humans have completely turned into, I don't know, some other being, I think that the data we've collected whilst eating these foods for many, many years is perfectly valid. So I don't see why we should apply an incorrect assessment model to non-novel foods. No, thank you. I will not take this POI. Sorry. And I will also end my speech here.
Thank you for your speech, Diego. It lasted 8 minutes, 37 seconds.
Ero fuori tempo.
You got 14? Well, it's 3 seconds difference. Okay.
Scusi,
14 or 40, sorry.
sorry, we don't listen, we don't hear the timer.
That's the thing I asked you. If you had the time control.
Yeah,
You said yes.
we didn't activate it in time, so I don't know if it was the protected time or not for the POI.
Okay, yes, it was not. Is it because you did not activate it for this speech?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
then.
forgot it. Sorry.
Oh, no, it can happen after all. But, be careful with the timing. Okay, so we are over with the constructive speeches. So Theodore will give let me write down.
Yeah, I'll be doing the rapid round.
Yes, and then Julia then for the proposition, no? Okay, then. So I'm ready if the other judges give me. Okay. Please, I invite Theodore to.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, dear judges, dear proposition team, and my teammates, of course. We talked a lot today about different topics and how should we solve this problem. My team believes that even though we say that safety is important, because it is important, and we're not saying we shouldn't check the foods that needs to be checked, we still need to think about all the other things that this might cause, like my third speaker said, economical problems, the possible rise in taxes, for example, the monopolies, the local activities that would have to shut down because of the incredible costs that the country, each independent country, has to have to go on with all these checks that has already been made by data that, like my teammate said, we collected throughout the years, and that still on this day we give, because if we buy something, it means we like it and then it's good for us. And that's also data we are selling for free, so they know what they want to advertise, that it's good for us and that it's bad for us. We talked about tradition, how even though some foods are not ethically good to consume and in fact are not sold, they can still be good and they can still value themselves as experiences. We talked about how another problem is pollution and pesticides, so we should focus on using them less instead of checking more foods. And we talked about allergies, even though the other team said that the allergies are developed by the type of food we eat, and it actually is correct. The majority of the allergies nowadays are the ones passed down genetically from our parents, for example. And we can talk about like being lactose intolerant, being celiac, being allergic to nickel, and all these type of things are all genetical. And yes, like they said, we can develop allergies through the food, but the majority are the ones that were born with it. And all these points sum up why we should focus on other things instead of retroactively checking again all the foods we know already are safe, because it would waste time, waste money and resources we can use for other things that are way more important nowadays. And also a way to help the economics and the small activities. That's what we're saying. And I'm going to say it again. We're not saying that we don't care about health. We care that all the resources are put in on the same basis and are used in a good way. That's it for my speech. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you for your speech. It lasted 3 minutes, 38 seconds. Now we are at the last speech, the reply speech. Giulia, when you're ready, please take the field.
Okay, so my speech will start in 3, 2, 1, now. So, good evening again, honorable judges and fellow debaters and spectators here. We have come to the end of this debate, and I'm here to show you what the really outcome really is. So, we, the pro team, stand with the idea that we should, that all foods already on the market should undergo the European safety assessment, currently mandated just for novel foods, because this will be safe, fair, and this will be also an economic advantage. Because as we said, we have underlined many times that there is a very big problem. That is that the scientific community has proved that the cause-effect relationship between an increased rate of serious disease and food. Therefore, we must not underestimate the impact of food on human health. The situation is worrying and we must protect the citizens. Now, let's move to the points of clash of this debate. There have been several points of clash, such as safety, the economic aspect, tradition, and pesticides. Now, let's start with the first one, safety. So, safety is an investment, not a cost. We must put safety over convenience and the economic cost. Safety is the most important thing, and we must preserve safety. We don't have to focus just on the economic aspect, because we must guarantee safety. If food is not safe, this can't be, it doesn't make sense. It can't be like this. Then, the economic aspect. You kept arguing that these rules and these changes would be expensive and complicated. You also talked about taxes, and we all think that failing to find preventable risk is actually more costly. Think about food prices. When products are recalled, we have brought many examples of food that are not on the market anymore, such as palm oil and a colorant, a red colorant, since they are dangerous. Then, heritage. Tradition doesn't mean science. It doesn't mean science, because if a food has been safe since now, it doesn't mean that we should say that this is safe. Now, pesticides. You didn't recognize the problem, because allergies, they can be caused by pesticides, yes, but of course the problem is that they are also caused for the product itself. We brought other examples. For example, butter almonds, they contain amygdalin. It doesn't mean anything about pesticides. Then let's remember who are the stakeholders and the values of these changes that we want to stand. Stakeholders will be producers, consumers, children, and the values that we want to promote are safety, fairness, and the economic aspect. The problem is that we must do something to tackle this issue of the sharp increase of allergies and autoimmune disease, and the opposition team failed in demonstrating that the status quo is doing so. On the other hand, we clearly demonstrated that status quo must change. It must be changed, or children will suffer and producers will continue putting bad food on our shelves. For all these reasons, I beg you to vote for us, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your speech. It lasted 4 minutes, 32 seconds. Well, I invite all the participants to applaud. Thank you for this debate. Really entertaining. Now I suspend the registration. Okay, that's it. Yes.